Continue, and then I'll talk about this more. So.
Some even on a cross, and rose from the dead, ascended into heaven, and that story is not unique to Jesus. In fact, it's almost entirely plagiarized by mythologies before him.
None of the stuff she's saying is true. She makes it sound like it's the exact same story, and never, ever, ever is that the case. She's putting a lot of assertions, she's putting a lot of things that you need the Bible for in order for that to be true. Because most of the people who wrote these old stories, before or after, or especially before, the idea of a resurrection was uncommon among anyone. This wasn't a thing. Alright? It wasn't a thing that people thought of. She is adding this resurrection piece because of the Gospels. She's inserting that into what it's saying, but that's not what it says if you dig into it. Look up every single mythological figure. I promise you, if you're truly searching for truth, it does not say that. I'm all for if atheism may be true, or like at least that Christianity is false, but when she blatantly goes against the evidence and makes a complete and utter assertion like that, I get pretty skeptical of that. But that's just me. Let's continue.
Going through 3 or 4 different gods that have almost the same exact characteristics as Jesus. This is something that whenever I found out the details of this was completely shocking to me. I felt pissed. I felt like I had been tricked my whole life, and it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back kind of saying. It was the last straw for me. Like I after seeing all the similarities between Jesus and gods before him, it was like what is the point of believing any of it anymore? That's just how I feel. So, the first god I want to go over is Horus. It was a god that was written about in the Egyptian Book of the Dead in 1280 BC, and here are some of the similarities. First of all, he was a son of God. Some people disagree whether or not he was born of a virgin, but that's in some stories of him. He was baptized in a river. He was tempted in the desert. He healed the sick, cured the blind, cast out demons, walked on water. He raised someone named Asar, A-S-A-R, from the dead, and that actually literally translates to Lazarus. He had 12 disciples. He was crucified and rose from the dead 3 days later. But that's just a few things. They didn't have that much in common.
I just want to point out, I scrolled down to the comment section. This perfectly encapsulates every single piece of BS that she is saying. Alright. Skeptic Boar Pig. This is painful to watch. And I am an atheist. A lot of these similarities that she's saying are simply not true. Even an atheist is saying that she's talking BS. I'm just saying, it's a little sketchy. I mean, I'm sure she thinks it's true. She's adding a lot of assertions, though, onto these characters. It's the same thing that the atheist minority did. When I checked out her channel, and then later on when I rewatched her video when Mad Love made a response to her comments about the Samaritans and how Jesus is just a copycat. That thing always comes up, but it's never held credible to the test of evidence. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, the evidence speaks for itself, and any scholar will tell you that what she's saying is BS. So, I think we can move forward.
Next god I want to talk to you about is Krishna. Here are a few things that they had in common. Both the Son of God, both sent from heaven to earth in the form of a man, both called the Savior, the second person of the Trinity. His adoptive father was a human and a carpenter. Both were visited at birth by wise men and shepherds, guided by a star. Both were without sin. They were both God-men, both being human and divine. Both performed many miracles, including healing disease, one of them being making a leper whole. Both cast out indwelling demons and raised the dead. Both selected disciples to spread his teachings. Both were meek and merciful. Both were criticized for associating with sinners. Both celebrated a Last Supper. Both forgave his enemies. Both descended into hell and were resurrected. Many people witnessed their ascensions into heaven.
2013. It's a long time ago. I was 12 years old when this video came out. Man, has my credibility even been lowered now by every adult watching. But it's just... it hurts. It saddens me that she thinks this is good proof. Because she seems like such a fun, wonderful person to be around, and she probably is. She seems like a wonderful person. But the points she's making are weak. weak arguments. They've been used time and time again and have never held the test of time. If we're going to talk, let's talk. But let us not use a foolish example like that. I would get into it, but I really don't need to. I really don't have the time to. I mean, if you really want me to answer that for you, I will in the comment section. I don't have time for this in this video. Sadly, maybe I'll make an own independent video just on these apparent similarities. That'd probably be a lot of fun. Maybe that'll be my next video. But it is just absolutely goes against the evidence what she is saying. It saddens me. Because I know, I would hope her as much as me wants to follow truth wherever it leads. But a lot of the time, people are on a happiness quest, not a truth quest. They want to do make them happy. I saw a video of hers that's called Ignorance is Bliss. I haven't watched it yet. I assume it would have to do with certain things about God and whatnot. But how about this for a twist? Maybe you don't want a God to exist. If a God exists, then you have to be held accountable. You're judged for things that you love doing that you don't feel are any wrong. I feel this way about this guy. And I'm a guy. And it feels so good. And it feels so right. How could it be wrong? If God exists, it's definitely not the Christian God. Because he says my feelings are wrong. Or, I like having sex with a lot of girls. Or playthings to me. If God exists, then I'm a terrible person. I killed someone. I regret it. It's an accident. I had to defend myself. It was me or him. This is a real person I've talked to, by the way. I love him very much. Not in a gay way. Like a brother. I'm not going to tell you who. And it's hard for them to accept that God could exist. Because then there's consequences to that. More than just prison. But then I tell them that the love that Christ can give them, they just can't fathom it. They can't fathom that somebody would love them so much that no matter what they've done, that they can be forgiven. That they're loved. That they needn't fear. A lot of it is fear. We don't want God to be real. We want to live our lives the way we want to live them. We want to be our own God. To make the rules of life for ourselves. To live life how we want to. And that's sadly why a lot of the stuff that's mentioned is not logical, but just emotional. And I get it. You think God's cosmic killjoy. What if I told you he just loves you so much and he wants what's best for you? You know, I wanted to run across the street like the Flash when I was like 7. Do Frogger against cars. Parents didn't let me do it. They were ruining my fun. But it was for my own good because they loved me. They wanted me to live and live a life. So, I went off on a tangent. But, people are on a happiness quest, not on a truth quest. It was very peculiar. I can't speak, sorry. I was at school. There was this girl I was talking to. She knew I was Christian, so we got into a conversation. And I asked her, not that I'm going to or that I'm even trying to, I just want to ask that if I could prove that the Christian God was the true God, that he's a reality, a fact, would you follow me? And she said no. And that doesn't seem to be like a very logical thing to say. But she simply disagrees with what it says, with what the Bible says, with what Jesus said. And she doesn't want to follow it. But not because of where the evidence leads. She even admitted, even if I could. I'm not saying I can prove it 100%. I was just using that as a scenario. She said no. So to her, the evidence doesn't matter. She just doesn't want to believe. But as far as I'm going to get in there, let's finish this video.
You can't dispute every single claim. The point is these three gods had so much in common with the story of Jesus. All came before him. And it seems like nobody knows about this. I didn't know about it until quite recently, whenever I started researching religion and it became interesting to me. And it just boggles my mind that there's so many similarities, but people will just dismiss it and ignore it.
There's me, how there's so many unsimilarities, and how you're kind of cherry picking this, and how you're blindly believing it. That bothers me. Let's continue.
Contradictions in the Bible, fine. Ignore different things in the Bible that seem out of time, that people were biased by, you know, their ignorance of science at that time. When they
Ignore things in the Bible. If you feel like there's something wrong with it, study it. Research it. Know it. Live it. I promise you, if you are truly searching for truth, that it will come around and the problems that you're having will be fixed. You'll gain a deeper understanding and you'll have a deeper faith with God, a deeper love and appreciation for Him. I have ADHD, and I struggle with that. I also deal with teenage depression, because we all have it. I also deal with probably clinical depression, along with bipolar, so my mood swings to left and right. I'll be super happy 1 second, super depressed the next. And, you know, no need to call it suicide hotlines, but, you know, I've thought about it. You know, one thing that keeps me going is that the creator of the universe loves me. Because ultimately, if she's right, maybe she is. I honestly should. Because at the end of the day, my life has no meaning and it has no purpose. I'm a walking, talking meat bag. My life is ultimately meaningless. The only meaning I can give it is subjective. And I can't live with that. But if it's true, we'll all accept it. Before I would do that, no, I wouldn't do that, probably, I hope. I would join Jacqueline on her quest. But, you know, I have my on and off days, quite often. But at the end of the day, Christ died for me. That's my mission, my goal in life, is to study everything I can, truth, wherever it leads me. So I can know truth, so I can follow truth, wherever it leads. And if Christ is true, to help others know Him. That is my goal in life. That is my purpose. And this didn't really have anything to do with you saying. I wanted to say that. And I'm going to finish off this video, so let's go.
People were biased by, you know, their ignorance of science at that time when they wrote it. Ignore that, fine.
There's a lot of things I don't know. I don't think I'm ignorant, though. I constantly ask questions. I constantly look at, you know, research websites from, like, scientists that are secular, by the way. You know, I'm really buddy-buddy with with my old biology teacher. She's not an atheist or anything, so she's not necessarily Christian either, but she's very for science, and I love knowing what she knows and learning more from her, and we're having dialogues, so I feel that. So, I try not to be ignorant. I never want to be ignorant. Like this whole section about the parent-God similarities that she's been saying have been pretty ignorant, but let's go.
During this, it seems like Christianity was so clearly plagiarized by different mythologies that came before it. How could you possibly credit it as being original and believe it completely? It just makes no sense to me, and
Well, that's pretty much the whole gist of the videos that is plagiarized. It's not. Most secular historians would call everything she's saying absolute bullarchy, because it just absolutely is. And no, I don't blindly follow. My parents didn't grow me into this. I wasn't brainwashed into it again. My parents didn't follow after Christ. I never touched a Bible in my life. I never read one. until midway through 7th grade. Never once did I pick one up. Never. So it has, you know, I'm really trying to not be ignorant. I constantly seek. I constantly seek knowledge. I love watching debates. I love watching atheist videos. I love reading atheist articles and Christian articles. I love it. I live on that. Please don't call me ignorant. When this whole later section of your video has been pretty ignorant. Just to be a little blunt to the point. Well, let's finish this off. I'm not going to pause it again until she's done. Alright, that's pretty much all she had to say. Faith in God is not blind. It is evidence-based. And the more you study it, the more you'll come to know how logical and rational Christ is. How it makes so much sense. It's the only thing that coherently explains the universe. You can have a relationship with him. He wants to know you. He wants to love you. All you have to do is accept that. All you have to do is go on your knees. Lord, I don't know how this works, but I know that you're real. I want to follow you. Show me how to do that. If you can. Sorry, I don't know what I'm getting at. Jesus has held the test of time for over 2,000 years, and he will continue to do so. Christ didn't stay absent from human suffering, which wasn't even addressed in this video. But, you know, I watch documentaries, I've watched Schindler's List. I weep every time I see internment camps. What Hitler did to those poor people. But Christ, we do not have a God that just watches us suffer and does nothing. He wove himself into history. He became a part of the suffering so that we could have eternal life. And so that way we can know his glory, his love, his grace. Christ is real. He's historically true, we know that. And the historical evidence is in support of his resurrection. If you don't think I defended that, that's because I wasn't trying to defend it in this video. I can defend it in another video if you want. Let me know in the comment section. But God loves you. And here's the amazing thing. It doesn't matter if you've murdered someone. It doesn't matter if you currently like boys and you're a boy, or you're a girl and you currently like girls. Because God will accept you as you are. But don't expect to change that way. Because if you truly want to know the love of Christ, then I promise you, it's not indoctrination, it's not anything like that. You will just change. You will change your viewpoints. You will change, you know, in perspective. And things will change. Maybe we always struggle with that attraction. But you'll work through it. If you've murdered someone, and you are in such pain and misery every single day, God loves you. He already knew you would make that decision way before it happened. Or any other thing that you are ashamed of. God loves you. He wants to know you. And all you have to do is accept him. And that's, the world was fallen. We kept sinning and sinning and sinning. The world was broken. So God sent himself down as Jesus to pay the penalty for us. Because the cost of our soul ain't got a big enough piggy bank. Put your silly list of good deeds and line them up against perfection. Good luck. That's life past your pay grade. You can try to be a good person all you want. But if you're trying to wash a window with a dirty rag, no matter how insincere you are, it's still a dirty rag you're cleaning with. But Jesus will clean that rag. He will make it seem spotless and clean. All you have to do is accept Him. Thank you, Jacqueline, for making this video. Thank you for constantly challenging Christians to think. I do appreciate you for that. And thank you for just being you. I disagree with you heavily on things. But I know you're a good person. I've never denied that. I know we haven't gotten to the moral argument. There's another video you made responding to that one dude. I will get to that in another video. But you're probably not watching this. But if you are, I think you're a wonderful person. I've seen a lot of videos of yours, and you seem like a really cool person. Somebody that I'd probably enjoy hanging out with. And I know we disagree on very fundamental things. But I love you. And even though you don't believe in God, He loves you too. And so I'm going to end it. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Show me helps out a ton. Don't forget to check out Mad Love. He makes amazing Christian videos. And as always, guys, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.